NFL Week 10 on the DSB Creative. Jaron DSB, like, comment, subscribe. Let's get into it. Football world, football family, welcome back. Week 10. We just passed the halfway point. We're gonna get into some of these NFL awards in a little bit. But first, we got to cover some of these key games that we got in Week 10. Now, tonight, obviously, Thursday night football, we got Carolina and Chicago. 1-7 versus 2-7. They competing to see who's going to get the first overall pick. Both of them could use Marvin Harrison Jr. So, they both keeping their fingers crossed for an L. And then the first game Sunday, Indy versus the lowly Patriots. The Patriots suck this year. When they upset the Bills, I thought they had a coming out party. I thought they might have, they can build off this win. And what did they do? Come out the next week and get smacked in the mouth. The Patriots got some trouble. They got to figure it out. Mac Jones probably not going to be there next year. Belichick probably won't be there next year. Robert Kraft, he just there for a good time, man. And that's what it is. Jacksonville, San Fran, Sunday. Battle of the conference powerhouses. On one side, we got Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, Debo, if he plays, and Brandon Ayuk. On the other side, we got Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, Christian Kirk, Calvin Ridley. Going with who has the momentum going into this game, I'm going to go with the Jaguars. So the Jags are on a 5-game win streak, starting with the Falcons, then they beat the Bills, Colts, Saints, and Steelers. Fluctuations of competition within that, but nevertheless, they came out with wins. Also worth mentioning, they've already got 2 big division wins against the Colts. Opening win, and then, like I said, during this win streak. So that's 2 big divisional wins. Jacksonville's doing what they need to do to secure themselves in the playoff picture in the AFC. Winning divisional games is key. And now they sit at 6-2, number 1 in the AFC South. That's how you do it. The Niners are number 1 in the NFC West, but they sit at 5-3. And most recently, they did drop their last 3 games. Most recently, after smacking the Cowboys 42-10. They lost to the Browns 19-17, lost to the Vikings 22-17, lost to the Bengals 31-17. I don't think it changes this week. Something's up with that Niners defense. Not too sure what it is, but they started off the season hot. In the past 3 games, it seems like teams are just putting up points willy-nilly on them. They're not taking the ball away at the rate that they were. They're not stopping offenses at the rate that they were to start the season. We get fatigue does set in definitely around this point, week 10. This is where the rubber is going to need to start meeting the road. You don't want to start having lapses in your defense with December looming, and that means playoff time. So here we are in the first week of November, and the 49ers have a big test in front of them in the Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence is throwing the ball very well. They have a very balanced passing and rushing attack, Jacksonville does. And when they're clicking, it's hard to get them stopped because that balance is really well. And Travis Etienne, one of the main ones, coming out the backfield, he can catch and run the ball. They can slow cook you or they can cook you real fast. It don't matter. Jacksonville has all the momentum. They were 1-2 at the start of week 4, and they did not look back. 5-game win streak. Here they sit at 6-2, and I don't think that changes this week. I think the momentum continues. The Jags are at home this week. The 49ers have to come into town basically limping. They're going to have to hope for a big day from McCaffrey. They're going to hope the Jaguars defense has an off day because that defense isn't phenomenal, but they do come to play. So in this one, let me get out my handy-dandy prediction. In this one, I got the Jags coming out on top of the 49ers, 28-23. The 49ers have definitely showed that they can put up points. Recently in this losing streak, though, they have struggled, and they also have shown that they're not going to stop another team from putting up points. and the Jags can score. So 28 Jacksonville, 23 49ers, and Jacksonville cements themselves in the AFC playoff picture going forward. The 49ers are going to be 5-4 after this week, and the NFC West will be wide open. Let's move on to the next game. And this next one is a good comeback game. This is a good, sigh of relief game right here. Cowboys, Giants. Now, in week one, these two teams played divisional matchup. Usually those are kind of close. Cowboys blew the doors off the Giants. 40 piece. Giants ain't put up nothing. 40 zip. This time around, it's hard to say, but it seems the Giants have gotten worse than when they played the Cowboys in week one. Daniel Jones, IR. Tyrod Taylor, IR. Offensive line, trash. Defense, struggling. Last year, Dabo was the coach of the year. This year, that Giants team is terrible. I'll give the Giants some respect, and I'll say it won't be as big a blowout as it was last time. You know, they're still professionals. They're still in the National Football League. You would think that they would come up and show up to play. Still, this is a divisional game. It's a rivalry game. So you think they'd show up to play. Man, but you got to look. The Giants are having a bad year. When Daniel Jones went down, he hadn't even cracked 1,000 yards passing. Saquon sits at 500 yards on the season. The Darren Waller project isn't panning out right now in New York. That might be major part to the quarterback situation and the offensive line situation. When you don't have an O-line, it's hard to do pretty much anything. Run the ball, pass the ball, anything. So that's not working out. Waller's sitting at 384 on the year. 384 receiving on the year. That is sad entering week 10 for a tight end of his caliber. And he came from Las Vegas. I think he'd with the culture shift they're going through right now in Vegas, I think he'd love to be back over there. Cuz this is going to be a good game also for the Cowboys to get back on track. That loss against the Eagles was a tough one. Dak, let's talk about Dak real quick. In that loss against the Eagles, Dak did everything he needed to do to win that game. He did have 2 drives towards the end of the fourth quarter where he left points on the table. He had 2 chances to win. He stepped out of bounds, mistake on the 2-point conversion. Again, mistake. You can't afford to make mistakes, clearly. Because if we had those 2 points and then we could kick the field goal, that's 5 points. We lost by 5. He did what he needed to do to win the game, but we needed him to do more. And he did. I'm sure he could admit he could have done more. Granted, that rushing attack we have is terrible. We let Zeke go when we shouldn't have. We hitched our wagon to Tony Pollard, and look what we're getting in return. In the offseason, it's a necessity that Jerry Jones go find another running back that can be the counterpunch to Tony Pollard. Pollard's a smaller, shiftier guy. We need someone who can be a power punch. We need to bring a 1 and 2 on offense. Because that's when we were at our best on the Cowboys. The 1 and 2 at running back, and then we've got a good 1 and 2 at receiver, and we've got a reliable tight end. That's always been our formula, and we perform at our best when we follow that formula. Dak Prescott, he has a lot of critics, and the critics didn't silence after that loss because they said you had 2 last drives to go down there and win the game, and you did not. So the jury's still out when the Cowboys really need Dak to be great. Not when we need him to perform well in regular season games, when we need him to have those Brady-esque moments, those Mahomes-esque moments, those Manning-esque moments, when we need him to summon that, can he do it? And over the 7 years going on 8 that he's been in the league, he's shown us that he can't do it. But he has also shown us, this game has proven, that he might not be the greatest, but he's damn good. And that's the analysis on Dak, I guess. He's not the greatest quarterback. He'll never be the greatest quarterback. He'll never be one of the greats. But when it's all said and done, he'll be a damn good quarterback. Cowboys beating the Giants 28-10. Let's move on. This is one of them ones, boy. This is one of them ones. Now, you see, this is why I'm invested in this game. The Jets, here the Jets are on prime time yet again. The Aaron Rodgers effect. They thought Aaron Rodgers was going to be on the New York Jets. He got hurt. Game 1, play 1. Now the Jets getting smoked in all these damn primetime games. Raiders, Jets, Sunday Night Football. Jets coming off that disappointing loss to the Chargers, 27-6. I don't know if it was disappointing or if I was just riding that wave of momentum off a 3-game win streak. I wasn't a Jets fan, but I was like, damn, they looking good. And then they played the Chargers, who are not like that this year, but against the Jets, they got busy. And 27-6, yeah, that's a 21-point victory. That's a blowout, my boy. Sent them back to New York, hat in hand. The Raiders, most impressively, I remember watching Antonio Pierce when he played for the Giants. He was a hell of a defensive lineman. Hell of a defensive lineman. And the culture that he's bringing to Las Vegas, seeing it in that game against the Giants, his former team, oh yeah, he might be the guy for the job. Not might be. He is the guy for the job. And hopefully they do the right thing in Vegas and make him the permanent head coach after this season. But a test stands in front of him in the Jets, that defense. You've got an inexperienced quarterback in Aiden O'Connell. The offense hasn't been its greatest this year. And that's meat hanging off the bone for that Jets defense, who has been just terrorizing opposing quarterbacks this year. Yeah, they've 4 losses. They're 4-4. They've taken their fair share of punches on the chin, let a couple slip away. But every team that played the Jets can definitely say that that defense got after them. It's going to hold true here. I hope that Raiders offensive line is going to come to play. Hopefully Coach Pierce can scheme up something creative to figure out a way to not have O'Connell just sitting back there like a duck getting teed off on by that Jets defensive line. These two teams, they seem to be both in a state of flux and both needing culture changes. And Oakland has done the right thing. They brought in a coach with attitude from the area who was a former player in to try to turn that team around and that culture around, and it looks like that's going to happen. The Jets have stunk for years, as have the Raiders. Numerous head coaches, coordinators, quarterbacks, offensive carousel as far as the roster is concerned. What can the Jets do to get some culture back over there? I remember the days of Antonio Cromartie and Darrelle Revis on that defense. The days when they went to those 3 AFC championships with Mark Sanchez. Yeah, they didn't get to the Super Bowl, but if you remember around that time period, those Jets defenses were nasty, physical. They had swagger, confidence out of this world, similar to the defense that they have now. And the offense back then was very similar to the offense that they have now. They had a slight overachiever at quarterback. Mark Sanchez definitely panned out to be a better quarterback than Zach Wilson is panning out to be. But as far as receivers, running backs, they didn't have world beaters. They just had guys that put their hard hat on every Sunday and tried to work harder than the guy across from them. Not saying the Jets don't have that. Offensively, it seems like there's a lot of uncertainty, and fair to say it's because of the quarterback position. I've been on Zach Wilson's side this entire season from start to finish because I felt Zach was getting an unfair rap when Aaron Rodgers came to town and then when he took over. Like I said, the Jets have been a terrible organization for some years now. And I feel like with Zach Wilson coming in, I don't know what people expected him to do to change life. They put a lot of expectations on this rookie quarterback's shoulder. And just like the rookie quarterback who came before him, Sam Darnold, he crumbled. Yes, to play quarterback in the National Football League, you have to have something different about you. You have to present a certain amount of confidence. You have to carry yourself a certain way. You have to, regardless of the talent around you, be a winner and be willing to go out and make plays. Zach Wilson isn't a world beater at quarterback. Zach Wilson is not a guy who's going to go out and throw for 300 yards consecutively, 4 touchdowns consecutively, multi-game streaks with no interceptions. That's not Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson at his best is a game manager, a guy who can get you 200 to 250 yards passing a game, a guy who can drive the ball down the field, up and down, and not turn the ball over. At his best, we've seen Zach Wilson do that. His biggest problem is consistency. In consistency, there's confidence, and I don't think he has that either. He came into a bad situation, and I think he knew he was coming into a bad situation. I don't think he was ready to be a quarterback in New York, never mind the quarterback of the Jets. The situation he came into wasn't welcoming. Coming into basically a makeshift quarterback room, a young offensive coordinator who was almost had as much milk on his breath as Zach did when he came in the building. I think so far Zach Wilson has shown that he can be that game manager in a good situation. Obviously, the offensive line situation for the Jets isn't the greatest, and that's been a major part of their struggles. Because with time, we've seen, like I said, Zach Wilson can manage a game, get you down the field, and not turn the ball over. When he has to make rushed decisions, he makes very bad decisions. It's unfortunate that, not every quarterback is meant to be great. And that was the issue with the Brock Purdy thing a couple weeks ago when Shannon Sharp said Brock Purdy wasn't elite. Brock Purdy's not elite. And it's not to say he can't get there, but phenomenal situation. A quarterback that everyone's hard on, Dak Prescott. If you put Dak in the 49ers situation right now, and you gave him McCaffrey, and you gave him Debo, and you gave him that offense, and you just let that offense run as it runs, but you put him in there, I'm willing to bet they'd win a Super Bowl. Why? Because that talent around him is so much better. Not to say that, it is to say, because the offense that the Cowboys have now is not nearly as good as what the 49ers have. And the 49ers seem to have found their golden boy in Brock Purdy. The Jets need to go find theirs. It's not Zach Wilson. He can be a game manager. They're hoping Aaron Rodgers come back. Aaron Rodgers is not their guy. Aaron Rodgers is a Band-Aid. Because when Aaron Rodgers retires, we're going to be in the same cycle that we were in with the Jets before Zach Wilson and before Sam Darnold. Cycle of just quarterbacks who have been around the league, working this makeshift offense, and it's another year under your belt. But now that I'm off that, I got the Raiders beating the Jets 17-14. It's not going to be a blowout, but the Raiders are playing inspired football. The Jets got some figuring out to do. They did not look promising in that last game. That defense looked good, but that offense, after the 3-game win streak, it just looks like they're struggling right now. I'm not sure what's going on. Like I said, they looked good in the 3 games, and then against the Chargers, they ran into a wall. So I got the Raiders beating the Jets 17-14, Sunday Night Football. And then let's move on to Monday Night Football. Because Monday night, we got the Bills and we got the Broncos. The Broncos suck this year, but most recently, before their bye week, they shocked the Chiefs 24-9. On the flip side, we got the Bills, who most recently lost to the Bengals. I picked the Bills to win that game because I felt against another AFC powerhouse, the Bills would have showed up to the task and got the job done. And they did not. Josh Allen and company let me down, made me look like a fool, and had me eating crow. This week, I don't think that happened. Russell Wilson, look, hold on, here's the thing. The trade deadline came and went, and the fire sale did not happen. Hold on, was that Ben DiNucci I just saw? They better throw Ben DiNucci in there. So, the trade deadline came and went. Fire sale in Denver did not happen. They still got the same squad, and they're going to go into the offseason with the same squad. So, in the offseason, looks like there's going to be a lot of moving parts. Russell Wilson individually still is having a pretty good year. 1,600 yards passing, 16 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Defense ain't as good, no run game, offensive line's terrible. They sit at 3-5, fourth in the AFC West. On the flip side, we got the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills. Ugh. Josh Allen, 2,400 passing yards, 18 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Josh Allen obviously being blessed to have Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis on that offense. Rookie Dalton Kincaid, I mean, we didn't think that the kid would come in and have a big as role as he did on this offense, but he's doing good. And then you got James Cook and Latavius Murray back there. 2 hammers with that damn rock. So that offense is good, but the Bills have struggled this year. 5-4. They're struggling to keep second place in the AFC East with the Jets. And the Jets are coming off a loss. The Bills cannot afford to drop another game. For their sake, I'm hoping they win this game. If you drop a game to the Broncos and the Jets win, I mean, not even if and the Jets win, if you drop a game to the Broncos and you go 5-5, that's not a good look for you going into the playoffs. Where does that put you in the playoff picture? Do you want to be one of those teams playing in the first week of the playoffs? You should be competing for a bye. And right now, a bye in the AFC is wide open. Anyone could get it. Yeah, you got Jacksonville sitting at 6-2 right now, but we still got 8 weeks left in the season. Anything can happen. So we should be competing for that number 1 seed. I don't see the Bills getting that, though, if they drop this one to the Broncos. And I don't think they will. I got the Bills winning this one, 24-14. I respect the Broncos. They're a team in the NFL. Their players on their roster are NFL players. They're professionals. So I'll at least give them 14 points, but that team in Denver is not good. Something's amiss over there, and it's looking like everything, coaching on down. And they spent a lot of money bringing Sean Payton into town, bringing Russell Wilson over. They gave Russell Wilson money they didn't have to give him. Whatever's happening in Denver is obviously on the organization. I mean, you brought this on yourselves. You got to figure it out. Your last place in the AFC West. Again, what you thought you were going to get out of this experience, you didn't get. You didn't get it last year, and it's looking worse this year. So you have to blow it up after this year and get some all-new blood flowing on that offense and that defense. Yes, there might be certain situations that you might be contractually obligated to keep moving forward. But by all means, if you can move some people and get some draft capital, do that and start rebuilding. Russ isn't going to be there forever. Count on him leaving. Try to find a good young quarterback that you can maybe sit under him for a little bit and go forward from there. You got to blow this whole thing up in Denver because it's not looking good. And the people of Denver, they deserve a lot better. I've been to Denver a few times. I love it. Rode public transportation like one of the common people. Walked around downtown, 16th Street Mall. I did the whole thing. Man, look, they're good people out there. They deserve better than this. So much better than this. Please, Denver Broncos, do better. But this week, y'all gonna get that work. Buffalo's gonna beat the Broncos 24-14. Real quick before we go, I want to go over some of my NFL awards. Here we are at the halfway point, and halfway through the season, we've seen a lot of football. I'll be remiss if I didn't have some awards for the halfway point of this season. My MVP thus far, through 9 weeks, is A.J. Brown of the Philadelphia Eagles. Through 9 games, he has 67 receptions, 1,005 yards. He averages 15 yards a catch on 6 touchdowns. Without A.J. Brown, I don't think the Eagles are where the Eagles are. Jalen Hurts isn't having the best year so far. He's not having at least the year he had last year. So far, without A.J. Brown, the Eagles don't go where they are right now. The Eagles sit at 8-1, the best team in the NFC, you can say, and he's a large part of that. He is him, A.J. Brown. He's a man amongst boys this year, and he's a blessing to Jalen Hurts. Some people might have Jalen Hurts in the MVP discussion, but like I said, he is having slightly a down year from the year he had last year. And in the success that he is having so far this year, A.J. Brown is a huge part of that. So my MVP for the halfway point of this NFL season so far is A.J. Brown. Coach of the year so far, DeMeco Ryans. Houston Texans. If you look at the offense, that defense, what they're doing over there, yeah, they sit at 4-4, but it's that team is looking better than the Texans have looked since they came into the league, since they had Matt Schaub and Andre Johnson. That's the last time that team looked this good. He's bringing life into that team. He's brought culture over to that team. As an expansion team, the Texans were kind of an afterthought, I think. And now he's making them into a household name, a recognized name. And if they can beat the Bengals this week, oh yeah, they coming. And CJ Stroud is looking like the man going forward in the NFL. He's looking like the face of the damn league going forward. DeMeco Ryans, so far he's my coach of the year. Comeback player of the year. I put a question mark next to this because I wasn't sure if I could do this, but can I do Jared Goff and the year he's having in Detroit? How he started off the year, at least. The Lions have been struggling recently, yeah, but they recently righted the ship also. Moving forward, it's going to be very important to see how Goff plays going towards the playoffs. But thus far, he's been phenomenal for them. I'm not even sure if I can have him in my comeback player of the year, but I want him there, so I'm going to put him there. But we'll move on to offensive and defensive player of the year. My offensive player of the year, Tyreek Hill. It was a toss-up between him and A.J. Brown for MVP, but I gave the edge to A.J. Brown just because that team overall, their record, where they stand, how they look, how he looks going up against other receivers. Tyreek Hill, he's my offensive player of the year. Overall, I mean, what else do you say about Reek on offense? He is offense. He is instant offense. Like, in my mind, when I was thinking about MVP, it was Tyreek Hill or A.J. Brown. In my mind, when I was thinking about my MVP, it was either Tyreek Hill or A.J. Brown. One of those two. And if I didn't put one at MVP, they were going to be Offensive Player of the Year. And vice versa. So, coming towards the end of the season, I might switch up on these. I'm not going to lie to you. So, my MVP is still going to be A.J. Brown. Well, my Offensive Player of the Year is Tyreek Hill. We all know why. If he cracked 2,000 yards receiving on the year, he's MVP and Offensive Player of the Year and Comeback Player of the Year and everything else of the year, because Walter Payton Man of the Year, all of it. Defensive Player of the Year, right now I'm tied. Myles Garrett and T.J. Watt. Their stats are damn near identical with the exception of the one interception T.J. Watt has. But these two dudes are terrorizing quarterbacks. Their respective defenses. That defense in Cleveland is doing a damn thing. They might have found something over there. They don't have all the names on defense. They might not. But they only need one. Myles Garrett. And everyone else is clearly doing their job. 5-3 the Browns are. Can all four of the AFC North teams make the playoffs? I think they can. They're all well above 500. So as it stands right now, yes, all four of the AFC North teams will be making the playoffs. Will the AFC North team be winning the Super Bowl? That's a bigger question. And the answer is probably no. We see what Lamar does in the playoffs, and then the other three teams, I don't see their offenses in the Super Bowl at all. So we'll move on to our Offensive Rookie of the Year, and of course, none other than C.J. Stroud. What him and DeMeco Ryans are doing with that offense down there, what DeMeco Ryans is doing with that team down there, it's an amazing thing. The culture being brought in, C.J. Stroud is looking like a man amongst boys. He put on that jersey, took that quarterback role of that franchise down in Houston, and he never looked back. He almost threw for damn near 500 yards last week. The man's a rookie, but hey, this is nothing new to him. None of it's new to him. They say they call Shador grown. Oh, C.J. Stroud grown. He play like he grown. And if they can sneak into the playoffs, that team in Houston might be a scary team. If they can secure one of the top 4 spots and maybe just get one home game, get some momentum going forward in the playoffs, watch out. And lastly, my Defensive Rookie of the Year, we going Spoon! Devon Witherspoon, Seattle Seahawks. Look, him on one side, Woolen on the other side. That's all I got to say. They are recreating the Legion of Boom, and I love it. That offense has kind of struggled this year. They're not looking like they looked last year. But that defense they come into play every game, and I love it. They got Bobby Wagner back over there. He came back after his stint in LA, decided in LA it wasn't right for him. I need to go back home and recreate what I had, and he's doing it. Spoon, man, and he back there hitting too. That's the crazy thing. Like, he really recreating that hard hitting DB, that Legion of Boom DB, and I love to see it. So Devon Witherspoon is my defensive rookie of the year. And those are my NFL award picks midway through the season. Let me know what you guys think. I'll run through them again. MVP, A.J. Brown. Coach of the Year, DeMeco Ryans. Comeback Player of the Year, Jared Goff. Offensive Player of the Year, Tyreek Hill. Defensive Player of the Year, T.J. Watt / Myles Garrett. It's a tie, 1A, 1B. Offensive Rookie of the Year, C.J. Stroud. Defensive Rookie of the Year, Devon Witherspoon. Let me know what you guys think. And also, my picks for this week in our key games. We got the 49ers and the Jags. I got the Jags winning 28-23. We got the Cowboys and the Giants. I got the Cowboys winning 23-10. We got the Jets and the Raiders. I got the Raiders winning 17-14. And then on Monday Night Football, lastly, we got the Bills and the Broncos. I got the Bills winning 24-14. Thank you guys for pulling up to the creative with me, talking football with me. I'm Jaron DSB. Please remember to hit that like, comment, and subscribe. I'm going to be dishing out these videos on TikTok, on Instagram. So remember to follow us on all the other platforms as well. The DSB Creative. All one word. I put it in the bio, so y'all going to see it. Comment, subscribe, like, let me know what you guys think. It's the Creative, where we talk football.